As the new school year gets underway, the 4x4 initiative is once again rallying communities to come together in support of vulnerable children. As the seventh year, the Back to School project has launched in Swakopmund, challenging individuals to donate at least one school item to a child in need. Joining me to talk about the vision behind this initiative and its impact, and of course how communities can get involved, is Mr. Sidney Boois, the founder of the mentorship-focused 4x4 initiative. Mr. Boois, good evening and thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Good evening, Nina, and also good evening to both the listeners and the viewers of NBC.
Well, as I mentioned, yes, compliments of the new year indeed. Thank you so much. As I mentioned in the introduction, Mr. Boois, this marks the 7th edition of the Back to School project. But what inspired you to start this initiative and why does it remain so important even today?
You see, the 4x4 initiative, we're talking about 4x4, talks about resilience. Back in the days, we started off with the Christmas. The question was, what about those children in hospital? Mm-hmm. And then in the beginning of the year, the next question is, what about those who don't have school uniforms and a school and just a shoe? You get to Christmas, you get to winter. What about those without blankets? So it became a rolling action throughout the years. But pretty much, you will see the background of the 4x4 initiative is also around men and boys. How do we espouse certain values that are required by society, such as taking up responsibility and accountability for ourselves and also for the community. So those are some of the salient features of the 4x4 initiative, building support systems and building resilience in communities.
You've decided to take the activation to Swakopmund this year. What informed this, decision, and what's the response been like so far?
Swakopmund, of course, they talk about political will, but I would say personal will. The people in Swakopmund, ever since we started with this project, both from the community and also from the office bearers as local councillors, coming out and say this is not about, being a CEO of a company or the mayor of the town, but it's about just being human, and that's that human touch. Of course, I'm from the town of Swakopmund, so Swakopmund is merely a point of activation to launch the activation aimed to provoke, the whole country to say it's a new year, let's start on the right foot. So pretty much not necessarily soccer, but it's just a place of activation. And so far, of course, you've seen the pictures of the mayor. I've worked with the previous mayor. I've worked with other mayors in the same town. So that's normally an entry point to know the elders in the town or those leading the town to set the tone in terms of care for communities.
And this project challenges communities to donate just one item per child. Why is this simple approach so powerful?
That's where change starts. Change starts with one person. It is not a community. It is one person and the next person that forms, the duet and so you build the community. So it starts with one. And I've put it on myself to start with my family. I mean, we have a family of 3. So if I buy the first shoe and my wife and my son, this is already 3. This is how we contribute to change. It's not that we can change the whole world, but we can make a contribution as small as one item. Nina, I've talked about this constitutional duty that we have. This starts with Article 14 that talks about the family, of which the government is the first responder as the state, or the state is the first responder to care for family. But the second responder is society. And that is followed up by, of course, other things like the children's rights and the right to education. And you just heard the director speaking from ministry. She said it takes a whole nation, not only government, to take up this responsibility. So it's a shared responsibility that and this set responsibility starts with that one person, one item. If I can break it down, I've just checked Namibia's multidimensional poverty index. Now, some of the bread lines shows that in Namibia, the bread line for us, some of it per day, some of the people live at $8.30. It means if a book in Pep stores, I saw it is $7.99, literally $8. So that person only has $8 in his pocket. This person needs to buy a book of $8. A bread costs you $15. That is the real challenge that we have out in the community. And therefore, that $1 contribution that you bring makes that $8 for this person to have access to a book or to at least have a sock. You know, the schools will not necessarily give now the socks. They will not give the shirt. That costs $24. Now, a person living only at $8 bread line in terms of that multi-poverty index. So that is how we build resilient systems, meaning we contribute to a support system in our communities. And that is probably how this one item is talking about the one action that touches at least one heart.
On that note, Mr. Boois, from what you've seen on the ground, and you've given us just, a really stark example now, what realities are vulnerable families facing at the start of, the school year?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. You see, extreme poverty lines in Namibia, that index of Namibia Statistics Agency shows that, extreme poverty is around $3 per day. And the shocking reality I've seen from that statistics further is the poorest members of society actually are children. And they even break it down, the ages between 1 to 4, 5 to 9, and 10 to 14. Meaning, and it makes sense because they can't care for themselves. And if you have already situations of fatherless homes and so on, this situation is serious. And that's why these indexes are statistics that by credible institutions. So those are the underlying things that we don't see and we don't know the real issues. And therefore, these support systems of even if the government says education is free, still it needs to adjust to get to those. And that's why, as a nation, we have to build such support systems, knowing that these statistics are there. They're not taking also other aspects like high inflation and cost of living, and there are people that are even, the employed that are trapped in these situations of poverty. So we have to stand together as a nation right at the beginning of the year. And that's why, Nina, this call is for the person in Katima, Karasburg, Keetmans, Koregas. Just stand up. Go out there. Go out of your office as a CEO, as an MD. There are people out there that need us. And I'm happy to announce even today that the government officers called today to say, I want to join this campaign this year. That is the step in the right direction at the right time, beginning of the year. So we need to take hands.
Mr. Sidney Boois, always a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Let's do it together as Team Namibia.
That was Mr. Sidney Boois on the line from Swakopmund talking to us about the 4x4 Initiatives school campaign to assist vulnerable children in the communities with school shoes, whether it's school uniforms, whether it's backpacks, whatever it is that they may need. So if you'd like to get some more information, you can contact the 4x4 Initiative directly. You can find them across the social media pages. We'll be back after this brief break. Stay with us.